All right, y'all. This is another episode of Notable Prisons and the Inmates That Occupy Them. And today I have a guest on that reached out to me via Instagram, and she told me that she had a story of her going to jail and she AWOL'd from the military. So we are going to get Vadeska's story today. So let's just start off from the beginning. How long were you enrolled in like the service for or whatever?
From the time that I signed my contract, I would say probably about maybe 8 months.
Okay, 8 months, okay. And you go through it and everything. When did...
After I signed my contract, I shipped out to boot camp like 2 months after, 3 months after.
And what was that like? Like being in like
my favorite part was going to the range.
Okay.
But I cried the first day we went to actual boot camp because I had I didn't know I rolled my eyes, and like basically we were in lines to go into the DFAC, which is like the cafeteria, and so basically there's like 3 things, like people wash their hands, and when one person moves then you go in, and they told me not yet, and I rolled my eyes, and then one of them came in my face, like this close to my face, and started yelling at me, and then I had 2 other ones come because I started crying, and yeah.
Oh wow! Yeah, it sounds like it was quite the hectic situation.
Yeah.
So was there like any like crazy cool moments you experienced while you was there?
Crazy cool moments?
Yeah, like you guys like throw any grenades or see any bombs go off? Did you? I don't know. Did you shoot any M16s? Did you? I don't know. Did you throw any smoke bombs?
I didn't get to the grenade part. I had left on leave before the grenades, but I did get to shoot my M4.
What was that like? Was that your first time shooting a gun of that caliber?
Yes.
Well, what was that like shooting it for the first time?
To me it kind of had a lot of power, but after like the second or third time, you're like, oh, this is kind of easy, because we were on like our stomach doing it, so it's like we weren't holding it like.
Yeah.
You know.
I could dig it. So okay, so let's fast forward. So you're in the service, you're going through all the bells and whistles, you're doing everything. At what point did you AWOL from the military?
Okay, so a month in, I had maybe like a month and a half or a month, whatever. I had got injured, so I was on crutches for like 3 weeks, and my injuries were bad enough to where I could come home on leave, and it was during like the peak of COVID. So I was really sick when I got home, and I was only supposed to be on leave for 30 days. I call my first sergeant and I tell him like, oh, my doctor doesn't want me to leave, so he's like, they extended it another 30 days. And then I was supposed to go back, but then my grandma had passed away, so I called the Red Cross thing and they extended it for another 30 days. But when that came, I did not want to go back, so I just didn't. And I was AWOL. Okay, this is where it gets confusing. I was AWOL for like a week, like where I was supposed to go, like from the time I was supposed to go back. I met up with my recruiter and his master sergeant at the reserve base, okay, for our National Guard. And they had me sign a paper, and at the time I didn't know it was a counseling paper, and they said nothing was gonna happen to me, right? And then a year, I think it was like a year and a half or something like that, goes by, and then that's when I find out I have a warrant for desertion.
Wow. So you were supposed to go back, you didn't want to go back. Now fast forward, how did you find out you had a warrant for deserting the U.S. military?
I was going to the store one night, it's probably like 11 o'clock, and I get pulled over like 2 minutes from my house, right? And I think it was a sheriff that pulled me over, and he comes on the passenger side at first, and then he's like asking me questions like, oh, do you have any warrants, weapons? I was like, no, I'm good. And he's in his car for a minute, and I'm like, what's taking so long?
That's not a good sign.
And when he comes back, he comes on the driver's side. And I was like, at first I was like, okay, that's kind of weird, but maybe he just wants to hand me my stuff.
Yeah.
And he's like, can you step out the car for me? I was like, okay. And then he told me to face the car. And then he told me to put my hands behind my back and was like, oh, you have a warrant for desertion. I start bawling. And yeah.
Damn. So you get pulled over randomly just in the middle of the night, going wherever you're going, rather it's to get some candy, some sodas, I don't know, a booty call, whatever it is, you going in the middle of the night. You go to jail. What happened with the car, and what happened from there once you got arrested from the police? Was that your first time? Also, was that your first time being arrested?
Yeah, that was my first time being arrested. That's why I was crying.
Oh wow.
And I thought everything was fine. I wasn't expecting it. And it was a week before Thanksgiving, and my daughter wasn't even, I think it was her first Thanksgiving. Yeah, it was her first one. Because she wasn't even a year yet. And so basically I was in my boyfriend's car, and he was like, they searched the car and everything when I was in the back of the police car. And then he told me that if my boyfriend could get the car within however many minutes, they're not going to tow it. So he gets my phone and he calls my boyfriend, and then my boyfriend thinks that it's a joke. But I guess he ends up getting the car, and I didn't know because we had already drove off. And I go to the sheriff's station, the nearest sheriff's station. They put me in, we go through the gate or whatever. I'm inside, and then a lady's patting me down, and then she puts the shackles on me, and then that's when we get transported to the jail. And I say we because there was this other guy in there, and we both got transported at the same time.
How was that? Was that an uncomfortable situation? You guys are both in the back seat of the cop car together?
Yes. And I was thinking to myself, you could be kind of crazy. Why don't we have something in between us? Especially since he's a man.
Yeah.
And the whole time there, he's singing and rapping or whatever. And I was like, oh yeah, that's good. But I was like, I'm just trying to be nice. I don't want him to get all mad and then something happens to me,
Yeah.
And then so we get to the jail, and we go up the steps, and then we see the nurse, and basically the lady was telling me that transported us, if I would have given her a hard time, basically she would have abused her power.
Oh wow.
And she was a white lady, and I can say this because I'm white.
Oh wow. You was about to get attacked by a Karen. She was about to give you some left, rights, elbows with all her might.
Yeah, and even after we saw the nurse, when I went inside the actual I don't know what is it holding? Not a holding cell, but where they take your picture and all that. And they let me handcuff myself to the little bar thing. They didn't do it for me, so I could have just handcuffed myself as loose as I wanted. And
could have got up out of there if you had a great escape plan if you wanted.
Yeah, I mean I couldn't because the doors are locked, but I had that thought.
No, you definitely. I think anyone that's ever been to jail has definitely had that thought of how could I get out of here? Knowing it ain't gonna happen, but just there's a way I'm gonna get out of here.
Yeah.
Or if you get pulled over, you have the thought of man, let someone just drive by doing 1,000 miles per hour so the cop can just leave me alone and go get them.
Mm-hmm.
But so you go to the jail. How was it in jail? Did you get treated like normal inmates? Did they treat you different because you deserted the government and they're in the government and what? How was that?
I mean, there was this one sheriff that deputy that was really cool, and but okay, before I get to him, I had multiple deputies come up to me why are you in here, when they could see on my paper why I'm in there. So I'm like, why are you asking me? And at one point like 4 or 5 of them pulled me out, and they made me face the wall and was asking me, and like they were like surrounding me like that, and they were like, "Oh, you're making us look bad," because some of them were or are in the military.
Oh wow. So
I was like, okay, whatever. But then there was this one that was really nice, and like they put some crazy lady in a holding cell. Like she was screaming and banging on the door and everything.
Oh wow.
And I was in there for probably like 30 minutes with her, and he opens the door. He's like, "Let me get you out of here with crazy. Put you somewhere else."
Wow.
But he was cool.
Yeah.
That was the only one that was really nice to me.
Yeah, he kept it playing. Yeah. So okay, so then from that point, where did you go? Did you get cool with anyone in the jail? Did you hear any crazy stories or see any crazy things?
I mean, for the first 72 hours, I was in a holding cell, and then most of the people that were coming in the holding cell either were in there for domestic violence, or like one person was in there for GTA.
Oh.
And she was young too. She was some Asian chick.
Oh damn.
Yeah.
She wasn't playing. She was not playing.
She would sleep the whole time, no matter how loud it was. She would just be asleep. I'm like, this isn't her first time, her first rodeo. And then after the 72 hours, they put me in housing. And like when I get into housing, literally right when I lay down, like basically they asked the CO like, "Oh, is she withdrawing, like thinking I'm on drugs or something?" And they're like, "Oh no, like she's just here for whatever." Like I don't think she told her. And so they're all asking me, and I'm like, I don't want any problems, so I would be telling them like why I'm in there, you know?
Yeah.
And so they're like, "Oh wow, that's crazy," blah blah blah. And I don't remember this girl's name, but I was on this bunk and she was on this bunk. We were both on the top. Mm-hmm. And she was letting me use her pin for the phone because they never gave me a pin, and people were coming from holding with the paper, like with their pin on it and everything.
Oh, they probably thought you could use it as a weapon. They thought you were like a crazy trained military person. If you had a pin, you could like just run the whole tier or something.
Yeah, I don't know, but that kind of pissed me off. And I hope, when I used her pin one day, she was like, "Oh, ask him if he could give you the number to like the bail bonds place," and that helped her get bailed out of jail. So
that's what's up. You help someone get free. You helped her break loose about them laws.
And then, but when I went off track. But when I first got in there, I thought 2 girls were gonna fight because they were arguing over something and getting loud, but it didn't end up being anything.
Nothing.
Yeah, and then this one chick in there, she had. Okay, so we're at the table and like we're playing like cards, like we're playing Go Fish because they don't know how like any other card games. Mm-hmm. And I was trying to show them how to play poker, and they didn't. It was like hard for them to understand, you know, because it's hard to learn on the first time.
Yeah.
But this chick, she pulled out dice from her little pocket thing, and they were made out of bread.
Oh wow.
That's what she said, and I was like, that's kind of weird. And then the CO comes in because they're doing a count or whatever, and she hides them because I guess you're not supposed to have them in there.
Oh damn.
Yeah.
Damn, she was a creative motherfucker.
And the second time, okay, so they had took me out of housing maybe after a day, and then the second time I was in holding again, and then the second time I went into housing, there was basically. Okay, there was this pregnant girl in there, and I was about to take a shower, and she was asking me if I have shampoo and stuff, and I told her like I have whatever they gave me, and she gave me some of her stuff to use.
Oh, okay.
Because I gave her because most of the food I wouldn't eat, like I would just eat the apple. I did not want to eat my bologna sandwich. That's nasty.
What did you eat while you was in there?
I mostly ate the apples. The only time I ever ate something besides like an apple was like when we got our Thanksgiving dinner. We got 2 trays of food. One was like a dessert, and then one was like a full tray of like mashed potatoes and turkey or whatever it was.
So you was in there for how many days?
It was a week.
You was in there for a week and you ate apples for at least 5 days straight?
Yeah. And when they put me back in the holding cell, one of the guys, when he was giving us our food, I was like, I'm not hungry. He's like, well, you have to take it anyway.
Are you serious? Then what type of food were they giving you?
It was mostly bologna sandwiches, and I don't like bologna.
You don't like? Are you a picky eater?
Yes.
Oh, you one of them. You one of them. You gonna? Oh man. Oh my goodness. You what? See, that's all they gave you was bologna sandwiches, nothing else.
Maybe we had ham one time, but it's just sandwiches.
So how many apples a day were you eating?
Maybe like 2. Maybe like 2. I don't remember what we got for breakfast. I think I would eat the breakfast. I think it was like some eggs, maybe.
Oh, okay. So eggs and apples.
Yeah, I don't remember because we would get breakfast at like 3:30 in the morning.
Sounds about right.
So I'd be like half asleep eating.
Oh damn. Do you still eat apples to this day?
Barely.
Oh man, you're supposed to still be eating apples. So okay. So you're in there, and what's going through your head? Are you thinking like, oh my goodness, I'm in so much trouble, or like what? Because you know you ran off on the government. Like that's next level running off. You know, people run off on the plug. People run off on friends. People run off on relationships. You ran off on the government.
Oh,
like,
I thought I was gonna go to prison.
Really?
Yeah, and the whole time I was there, I was calling my boyfriend and my mom, right? And they're trying, like, my mom's trying to call my recruiter. Tell me why he's not answering his phone, like he blocked her or something like that, I think.
Wow. Dang.
But come to find out, he's not in the military anymore.
Oh.
And he moved states.
Really?
Mhm.
Oh wow, that's an interesting development right there. Okay.
Because my mom got in contact with like someone that's high up from I think it was from someone from my company in boot camp.
Yeah.
But he got investigated, I'm pretty sure.
Damn. That sounds crazy. Sounds treacherous. Okay. So what else happened? Like what was this process like? So you're in jail for, you said, 7 days a week. So then what happened next? Did like the military come in like black agent type cars or military trucks or something and pick you up?
No.
Did you go on a private jet? Did you go on Con Air with other prisoners, inmates? Like what happened? What happened next?
Okay, so I didn't find out what was gonna happen until I think like this 5th or 6th day. And that's when I guess the jail had got in contact with the nearest base, and I had to talk to whoever on the phone, and they were telling me like what's gonna happen. Like they told me I'm gonna get on a flight to Fort Sill in Oklahoma, and that's where I'm gonna have to deal with everything. And then if I don't get on the plane, like one of my family members is gonna have to pick me up. It can't be like a friend or anybody else. Mm-hmm. If I don't get on, then that's when military police will escort me on the plane. So after like the 7th day, like the jail wasn't supposed to release me until like 6 o'clock, but they released me at like 3 or something like that. Mm-hmm. And so they had released me, and my brother picked me up. It was on Thanksgiving I got released, like afternoon Thanksgiving, and I was so happy because I got to see my baby. But my brother picked me up, and we met up with my boyfriend. We went to his aunt's house, like chill for a little bit. Then we went to my mom's house because she was closer to the airport that I had to go to. Chilled there for a little bit. Then I got on a flight, and I kid you not, it took me like almost a day to get to Oklahoma because my layovers were so long, and I feel like they did that shit on purpose.
Oh wow. Yeah,
and the last plane to go to Lawton, which is the airport that I like was supposed to land at, mm-hmm. we backed out, and then the pilot went forward, mm-hmm. and he said that he doesn't want us to go because he can't get over the smell of gas in the cockpit. So he was a smart pilot. I did not want to blow up in the air.
No, yeah, definitely.
So we had to wait for another plane, and when I got to Lawton, there was an escort for like basically someone to pick me up, and I didn't know the other one other person on the plane was for like that too.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Wow. Okay. So you get on the plane, aka Con Air, and you fly to wherever you go, military base, I would imagine. So when you get to where you're going to, what happens when you get there? And what was that like being there?
So when I get there, the guy picks us up, and then he's telling us like I was considered a chapter 10, and I think he was like a chapter 13 or something like that. And we're not supposed to talk to each other. I forgot the reason why, but basically I could only talk to the chapter 10s.
Okay, different classifications for different levels of fucking up.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And so we get there, and we get to like, we're staying in like a, what is it like? Like, you know how you're in the military and
barracks?
Kind of like that, yeah. So we get there and we do some paperwork. They take my belongings, and we're not allowed to have any cash or cards on us. They put it in a safe because they don't want us leaving. And then so after that, because we went to the military police station before that, but they were busy, so we had to go back later. So after we do all the paperwork with him, I had to go back to the military police station. He drops me off, and that's when they get my fingerprints, they take my pictures, and like, yeah.
Okay. So go ahead.
And then we go back, and that's when I find out that I have a roommate, which was kind of cool.
Okay, so when you were there, did you meet so you was only there with other chapter 10 people you were only able to connect with? The other chapter 10 people, did they have any crazy deserter stories, or just nothing? Like, what was your friend there for?
Oh, I forgot his name. It was some guy, but he was stationed in Alaska, and he went AWOL from there. And he got lucky that his station didn't want him back, because sometimes they'll send you back over there and they'll deal with you.
Dang.
Yeah.
Yeah, Alaska doesn't, shout out to Alaska. I'm just saying, you're used to, being down here in the lower 48 or 58 or however many it is. I'm sure it's quite the
Oh, he was
difference.
from Florida.
Oh, yeah, exactly. What? Florida to Alaska? That's literally like two opposite ends of the country. Like two of the furthest points probably that you could get to from, But anyways, okay. So what was it like? What was it like in there? How was the food in there? Did you only eat apples when you were there?
No. So for the what didn't make no sense to me is the chapter 13s were allowed to have their phone all the time. They were allowed to leave base, and basically they were allowed to do a lot more than us. And I think they were there for something much worse, or they had, I don't know, like they were under, like I think they were getting court-martialed. I'm not completely sure, so don't quote me on it, but I'm pretty sure that's what it was. But us, we could only go out as far as this tree that they could see from like the CQ desk, and like the CQ, I don't know if it was really called the CQ desk, that's what I'm gonna call it though, because that's where they would always be sitting.
So was you in a military jail or a military base with freedom?
I wouldn't say it was complete freedom, because one, we had to get up at 4:30 in the morning. We had to clean the whole first floor.
With toothbrushes?
No.
Oh.
We had to sweep, mop, take out the trash, and that's basically clean the bathrooms, and that's about it. But still, why are we getting up at 4:30 in the morning to do all that? And then we had to sit in the day room, and the day room, we had board games and cards and a TV, but we had to sit in there the whole day up until until after dinner, maybe 6 or 7. And then we had to be in our beds, like in our rooms by like 9:30. And we only got our phones, okay, Monday through Friday, it was only after dinner. And then on the weekends, we will get it after breakfast. So, yeah, and when we went to the defect, we had to be escorted. Like, we couldn't go by ourselves. So, I did not like that. But they had good food in the defect. Like, they would have greens. They weren't... Okay, don't get me wrong. It's cafeteria food, but at least they had greens. But they had a lot of good stuff in there. It's like the food that... It was better food than what I had at boot camp because these people had already went through, like... They were about to graduate. Mm-hmm. So...
What, like, being in there, was that a better experience being, like, in the military's control or being in the jail? Being that you've done, some days in each.
Definitely in the military one because I got really close with my roommate. 2, we actually had board games and stuff to play with. And... we had a little bit more free. We had a lot more freedom than in jail.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and if we wanted to do, I think they call it like I don't know if it's a police call or it's like some stupid shit. But if we wanted to pick up trash around the building, we could do that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so we, at one point, they don't have their eyes on us.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Yeah. And Mr. Banks, okay, he was really cool, right? But Mr. Banks, he was one of like the really cool ones because he would always make jokes, and I had told him like all the feathers are falling out my pillow because they really were, and I go to tell him and I'm showing him the pillow and he's like, okay, well you have to do push-ups for it, and I was like, are you serious? He's like, yeah. So I'm about to do a push-up. He's like, you have to do it one-handed. I was like, I can't do that.
Damn.
And then he started doing push-ups like with his feet in the air.
Oh wow!
Because he was in the Marines.
Oh yeah, see, he was so proud. He was so proud of that. He's so proud. So okay, speaking of that, okay, I have a question. When you're in the service, do like other people? So you have like the Army, the Marines, the Navy, the Air Force, all these different sectors of the military. While you was there, was it a thing of like you guys will like talk about the other branches? Is that a thing? Because like there's a few YouTube videos I've seen that are kind of funny where like these guys, they like kind of like this one guy in particular, he was eating crayons and like I don't know, like did y'all eat crayons?
No.
Okay.
That's just the Marines that they joke about. Because not everyone, but people in the military always say like Marines are dumb.
Oh, okay.
Like there's the dumb ones of the military.
Oh, so that's why they eat crayons.
Yeah.
Oh, gotcha.
And then like my recruiter, for instance, we didn't really do that at boot camp because the drill sergeants just want to yell at us. But my recruiter would always call the Air Force the chair force because they don't do nothing.
Oh. That is too funny.
And then they didn't really say anything about the Navy. So.
Okay.
I think the Navies are the smart ones. I don't know.
Yeah, right. I've always wondered that.
Oh. And there was this other cool escort. I forget his name, but he was the coolest out of all of them. Like he would let us do whatever we want.
Don't mind that. That's just my vape. No, so he was super like chill and laid back. Mm-hmm. That's what's up. That's cool.
Like he would after, because usually when we're in the defect getting our food, we would have to wait for them somewhere in there. Like, we would have a designated spot, right?
Mm-hmm.
But he would let us go back to the car because he would talk to people anyway.
Oh, okay. So, what is something that you would say? Before I close it out, tell something that maybe I didn't ask, or something that you maybe want to share that happened from the time you was in jail to the time you was like, I don't know.
You want me to tell you the process about me getting discharged?
Oh yeah. There you go. So how is that process?
Okay, so since I got there during a holiday, the process was a little longer because they weren't in the office. Because we had to talk to legal and like a whole bunch of other people. And basically, what is it called? I forget what it's called, but basically it was kind of like a lawyer that we had to talk to. Like, we had already did everything else with everybody else. And one of the ladies, she asked me for my plane ticket, and my plane ticket said it was like $4,000 for me to go out there. And
to go to Oklahoma?
Yes.
Fuck, you could have drove there sooner. That was let's see if anyone that watches catches that.
And so she asked me for that because now I thought they were gonna make me pay back the plane ticket, but I'm just paying back the pay that they gave me while I was AWOL. But so we did that with her, and then finally we talked to like the legal person, and she was basically telling us like, one, either we're gonna get chaptered out. That's why I was called a chapter 10, because that's the chapter I would get discharged. It's other than honorable. Or I have a chance of getting court-martialed, and that means I would spend a minimum of 18 months to 5 years in military prison, like I think in San Diego.
Damn.
So, we had to talk to the first sergeant and everything too, and he was asking us our reasons, had us like sign papers and all that. Luckily, the captain got overruled because he wanted us to get court-martialed.
Wow.
Because he was a dick. But he got overruled, so I just got chaptered out and then ended up flying home. Well, Kiara, the girl I was rooming with, her friend had picked us up. We drove to Texas because that's where Kiara's from, and then I took a flight from Texas back home.
What was like? Well, did you even? Well, I guess because you was in boot camp. What was like your rank? I guess did you have a rank, or was it not yet?
You start off as a private, a P1, and then when I was on leave, I didn't know I got promoted to I don't even remember, but basically I was a P2, PV2. So, yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, what is something that give your message to anyone that may be wanting the AWOL, or someone that may be wanting to join the military that may not have thought it all the way through. What is your closing message to the people?
Does that have to be positive?
It can be whatever you want it to be.
I mean, if you're gonna go AWOL, at least look at the laws and everything, and see what could happen, the pros and cons about if you get caught, what will happen. But the military isn't for everybody. Now, if you work out and everything, yeah, you'll probably do good, but hey, I mean, you'll learn. The military is not it. They do not care about you.
Oh man. Okay. Well, I appreciate you taking the time to drive out here these hours to come do this video. If you're not doing anything after this, all right, y'all. I'm gonna holler at y'all later.